course they do. So, one question that I have for you this morning is, what is ugly? I mean, now, I really want to get down and dirty with this, okay? If you folks start calling in and saying, well, you know, it's a person's soul. People have ugly souls. Look, we don't judge souls, folks. They don't put people with beautiful souls on the cover of People magazine or Us magazine. They don't look into a person's soul or look into their biorhythms and figure out who's going to make a good magazine cover or figure out who the next movie star is going to be. How many ugly movie stars have you seen lately? How many ugly Miss Americas have you seen? Oh, maybe average looking, maybe too Midwestern or too white bread or too this or too that, but how many ugly Miss Americas have there been? Ugly souls, maybe, but not ugly looking, right? One of the questions I have for you today is how do we determine ugly? What is ugly? I mean, remember in high school, you knew the ugly guy or gal. I love those terms. We knew the ugly people. The people nobody ever wanted to dance with. The people nobody ever wanted to hang out with because you'd be considered the antithesis of cool or hip if you were seen standing next to a particular person who just... Oh. Now, that was the person who sat in the back of the bus and probably read science fiction. You know what I'm saying? Those were the ugly people in high school. Remember that? So you knew who they were. But what are the physical characteristics? Let's get down to brass tacks here today. Let's dish a little dirt. Let's figure this out. I'm not looking to offend you. If you are one of the ugly people we're talking about and you're offended by this, you may want to call it. By the way, let me take this break here, but before I do, I want to point out to you, we're going to know when we've heard from the first ugly person today. It's going to be like the first salvo, the first shot fired. You know how we're going to know? The first ugly person we hear from today is going to say, well, I think this show is terrible, and I think you're being so subjective, and what really matters is what's in a person's heart. We're going to know that person's ugly. Because beautiful people would not call in and say that. They would say, ooh, yeah, those ugly people. Yeah, I know what he's talking about. Oh, do I sound cruel today? Well, we'll find out. We'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis, and this is KFI AM 640.
You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis. Highlights of some of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
The word ugly came up in last Saturday's program. I don't exactly remember the context. I remember I was standing here talking to a caller about something. And the word ugly came up, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper and put it in my pocket and saved it. And said, that's it. That's what we're going to do next Saturday. We're going to talk about ugly people. I mean, the word's there to be used. You know, a lot of people resent the word ugly. They get angry. It's a hot button for a lot of people. And I say that if the word is in the language, it's there for a reason. I mean, it's not like an ethnic slur. Ugly is not an ethnic slur because... You know, there are ugly people of all races, colors, nationalities. Has nothing to do with that. Of course, like ethnicity or like race, many people are born ugly. And there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, they can go get plastic surgery, I guess. They can have their faces sanded down or whatever people have to do to look better, but... it is kind of like ethnicity, only in that it's a problem you're born with. When I say a problem, I mean if there are drawbacks to being ugly or to being a particular ethnicity, these are problems you're born with. They're not problems that you make for yourself by joining a particular church or by espousing a particular belief or by wearing your hair a certain length. It's something you're born with. So maybe it's not even fair to harass people for being ugly. But, you see, I don't think we're in the charity business in life, you know? I mean, certainly there are advantages to being with an ugly person. An ugly person is more likely to be faithful to you, less likely to be determined to be interesting by other people. I mean, you certainly don't have to worry so much as if you marry a beauty queen or if you marry Adonis, you know. An ugly person is not as likely to go off and cheat on you. There are advantages to being with an ugly person. But in reality, we're out in the charity business, and I don't think the average person wants to admit that they judge people according to how they look, and they pick not only their lovers, husbands and wives and all of that by how they look. People also pick their friends according to how they look. And this works in a number of different ways. How many times, oh, this one's going to hurt some people, but it's true. How many times have you seen two women out on the prowl for the evening, okay? And in fact, this is probably true of men, but again, because I'm a man, I observe women. And maybe women have observed men doing the same thing. In fact, I'd be willing to bet men do the same thing. How many times have you seen two women on the prowl? Maybe you've been one of the two women on the prowl, okay? And invariably, in my opinion, you never see two beautiful women out together. You see one really ugly woman and one really beautiful woman, see? And so what happens is, you've seen this, right? The ugly woman usually has developed a sense of humor or developed some wisecracking style or something that will keep her in the flow, keep her in the conversation. But she is always suffering the consequences of being with a beautiful woman. The beautiful woman scoops up all the men, and the ugly woman gets the leftovers. Isn't that true? Beautiful women don't like to compete, I believe. And they will frequently have a dumpy, ugly friend to go out with. Now, I've never understood the reason for this, except that I think they want to eliminate competition. Maybe there's another reason. Maybe you've seen this or been a part of it. I don't know. But I find that fascinating. And I don't think it's an accident. Yeah, men probably do it, too. I'm sure men must do that. But you see, you know, I think we have an innate sense of who's ugly and who's beautiful. And therefore, I think we know how to pick our friends, and we know how to go out in pairs. We know how to do that. We do. We do. So maybe we could talk today about ugly qualities. And I'm talking about reality here, okay? I'm talking, you know, I'm sorry, I don't think we go around judging ugly souls when we're looking for a soulmate. I think we go around judging ugly bodies, ugly faces. That's the truth. Now, I know I usually come up like a slap on the face Saturday morning with a little reality here, but that's what the truth is. And if you're ugly, you're probably very offended by what I'm talking about. No doubt you will call to complain, but remember, we know here at the radio station, anybody who calls and complains about this show is probably ugly, and therefore has a vested interest in complaining. That's the truth. We'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis on KFI AM 640. Time now to go to the KFI News Center and Liz Fulton. Good morning, Liz.
You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis. Highlights of some of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
We're talking about ugly people. What is ugly? How do we determine ugly? And I'm not looking for people to call in with these metaphysical explanations now. I want to get down and dirty this morning with this. Let's start off with Paula, a first-time caller from Los Angeles. Paula, you're on KFI. Good morning.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I want to say I love your show.
Thank you.
And I agree with you about everybody turning their noses up at ugly people.
Oh, really?
I even think people that aren't that good-looking do it than, to other people that aren't good-looking.
Now, let me ask you a question, Paula. Do ugly people know they're ugly, do you think?
I think some of them do, and I met a few that I think they're obnoxious and they think they're not.
I mean, I've met ugly people who actually have the nerve to call other people ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, I met a lot of guys that are ugly, and they have a lot of nerve saying that other guys are ugly, and then they're trying to hit on all these girls and everything and saying, bragging about how much they make or how many girlfriends they have and this and that. And but I think, you know, I don't know what they see when they look in the mirror.
What kind of... Well, let me ask you a question about ugly men for a second, Paula, because you're talking about the ugly men trying to hit on women.
Yeah.
Don't ugly men deserve women, too?
Yeah, but...
What kind of women do they deserve?
No, what I'm saying is that sometimes... I know you like, you're saying about the soul and, oh, they have beautiful souls and this and that, but sometimes, like, you know, the men will come up to you and then they'll be like, oh, hey, baby, what's up? And they'll be really, I mean, they're ugly to start off with.
Yeah.
Then they're really obnoxious. And that just makes it even, then that's when women really turn around and say, oh, he was so ugly, because that's how you know if they were obnoxious, too. That they just keep going on and on about how ugly they were, and then plus, on top of it, they're obnoxious.
Do women use the word ugly when they talk about men, or do they use the word, some other word, unattractive, or... not good looking or something polite? Or they say ugly?
Oh, no, they say ugly.
They do say ugly.
Yeah.
See, I don't get into go in the ladies' room where women have these meetings and discuss men's appearance, which is what they do in there.
Worse words as well.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And about the girls going out together, and one pretty one and one ugly one.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe...
That's true, isn't it?
A lot of times it is, yes. But maybe, I mean,
Wasn't there a movie called My Fat Friend, you know, it was about women? I mean, that's what they do, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of times I think, though, it's because, I mean, how many good women do you see out there? I mean, there's not like this, it's sad to say because I know by society's standards, you know.
Yeah.
But how many good groups of women do you see? You know, sometimes, you know what I mean? There's not like a lot of beautiful women walking down the street that, you know.
Well, there are not a lot of beautiful women, period. There are a few.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you don't exaggerate the word beautiful, there are not that many beautiful people. But most people look average.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, of course, just as there are not that many beautiful people, you know, the ugly people are not a majority, although I think there are more ugly people than beautiful people. But again, I go back to my question, Paula. For ugly men, what kind of women should ugly men expect to get? As much as they can pay for?
No. No, well, I mean, if someone comes up to me and they're not very attractive, and, like if I'm out or something, or I meet someone, and of course, that's the first thing that you notice. But I'm saying, if they're like, you know, put that aside and they're like really nice and everything, then you come around. I always find myself saying when they're saying like, well, is he good looking? I say like, well, he's okay. You know, if they're like really nice and everything, because then that kind of mingles in. But if on top of that they're obnoxious, it just totally turns you off. I mean, they deserve women too.
Now, Paula, let me ask you this question though: if an ugly person if an ugly guy has big bucks, does he look any better? Even a little bit? Tell the truth, Paula.
The women are going to hate me for saying this, but I think so, yes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you know, I know women that will call and argue and say, oh, that girl, she's probably this and that, but I think it comes down to it, yes. I mean, you know, and I agree with you 100%.
See, ugly men ought to go out and get themselves a good career and become entrepreneurs and make big bucks.
Yeah, but then...
See, that's why radio is perfect. See, we ugly people... Those of us too ugly to be on television, see. We can be on the radio, nobody knows we're ugly, and we make big bucks. So it's easy to get women when you work in radio, because no one knows you're ugly, you make big money, and you can call up, like, for example, I could take my American Express Platinum card and call up and say, hey, I'd like to take my girlfriend to Paris on the Concorde for the weekend, and just make 2 reservations, okay? And they say, sure, and that's it.
Yes.
Then they meet you, and they figure, well, you're ugly, but you're taking me on the Concorde, so we'll live with that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's true, and I mean, I try not to take looks too seriously, especially, like, in some of, you know, in my profession and stuff, but it's just, I mean, that it comes down to it, and you know, it's not your fault how you're born looking, just like it's not your fault what race you're born into, or...
Oh, no, there are ugly people of all colors.
Yeah, and I think it kind of does have its drawbacks, but being this beautiful model figure also has its drawbacks, I believe, you know, it's just...
Not as many.
Yeah, not as many. Well, I mean, with a lot of times it does, because a lot of times
ugly people don't get taken for the weekend to Paris. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they don't.
That's something an ugly... I will bet there's not a single ugly person listening today who's ever had somebody say, hey, baby, I've got 2 tickets on the Concorde. It's never happened. Never. If you're ugly, the ugly people buy the tickets, and the beautiful people ride for free.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. But the ugly people, I mean, they get noticed for their accomplishments. I mean, it's not, I mean, you know...
Only if they have them. Because, see, good-looking people frequently have no other accomplishments. And being beautiful is not an accomplishment. You're either born beautiful or you're not.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you see, ugly people have nothing but their accomplishments, you see? So, you know, a beautiful person can accomplish nothing. I mean, just look at the anchorettes on TV, for example. You know what I'm talking about? They haven't done a damn thing, but they look good. And everybody says, oh, you're a star, oh... We love you. Oh, Tawny, you're wonderful. And then, but you see, in real life, if you're ugly, you better have some accomplishments. They're going to check that resume a little more closely if you're ugly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but,
Ever see an ugly receptionist? And if you have, she can type like a son of a bitch. You know what I'm saying?
I know, because I've gotten jobs as receptionist before, and I can't even type.
Ugly receptionists know how to type. Well, see, you're not ugly. I can tell you're not ugly, are you, Paula? Because you're being very frank with us about ugly people, so I know you are a beautiful woman, aren't you? It's true, isn't it?
I mean, by some people's standards, I guess I am. Maybe there's people that would think I wasn't. It's just... I mean,
you're just being modest, Paula.
I try not to take it too seriously. I'm a model. And
you're a model.
And I don't even like to say it, and I try not to take it too seriously because people are constantly telling you things, and you just try to stay grounded and not...
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's...
But I'll bet if you got a job as a receptionist, you wouldn't have to type at all.
No, I have had a job as a receptionist, and I don't know how to type.
And you don't know how to type. How did I know? Ugly... See, we had a woman... I know I have to run here. We had a woman who was a receptionist at the radio station I worked for in Phoenix.
Yes.
And we used to call her Jabba the Slut. Now, this woman was one of the ugliest women I have ever seen. I mean, you know, if they ever made a rule at the company about wearing facial hair to the office, she'd be in major trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you know this woman had to know how to type or something because she had no other reason for being there.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, men are even worse than women, I think.
People are going to hate me for saying this. All I'm doing is telling the truth.
It's the truth, I know, and it's horrible, and people, I'm sure, are going to call up and say, you know, how horrible we are and stuff.
They are.
But it's just like, it's society standards, and that's just the way it is. Like, just like when people are overweight, it's just...
That's it.
Stuck in your mind.
Let me tell you, Paula, thank you for the call today.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
We'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis, and this is KFI AM 640.
Of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
I just wanted to come in. What I had said, yeah, I think ugly people have a harder time, but then some of them, like you said, they can develop a certain kind of power. Maybe because they're ugly, they accomplish more, or but at any rate, they maybe develop a superior kind of like a personal magnetism, a la say Telly Savalas, for instance, or
Telly Savalas, huh?
Or Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono, you find Yoko Ono a sexual person?
God, no.
Let me ask you a question, Monique. Would you bed down with Albert Einstein? Let's be realistic here.
I don't know, not Albert Einstein.
Well, come on, he was an accomplished guy. You've dated ugly men. Oh, tell me about this. Are you a member of the Red Cross or something? Was this a charity venture or?
No, but I mean they were. But I'll tell you something. Sometimes they can be intriguing because even if they're ugly, if they're clean and well groomed, and especially like if they have some creature comforts, there's something that can make them interesting. There's a pull. There can be a magnetic sort of a pull. It's sort of subliminal. I can't quite explain it, but it's like just going back to like Yoko Ono, from what all I've read, this woman had some sort of tremendous power over this man, although he wasn't the handsomest person himself.
Yeah.
But, you know, but I mean, haven't you ever seen one of those unions where there's like an absolute dog, and yet the other person just, you know, worships him?
Yeah, and you always say, boy, what does she see in him?
Yeah, and maybe it's the ugliness that, I don't know, but then there's also the case of, like, people, like you said before, who are ugly and don't know it, because I knew a woman once that I thought, and the consensus was that she was, like, really a dog.
Uh-huh.
And yet something with her mindset gave her the impression that she was totally irresistible. I'll tell you, she got dates like you could have developed some sort of an aura, as far as I'm concerned, with, like...
I think ugly women have an easier time than ugly men because, I mean, when it gets to closing time, when it gets to 2 a.m., I think men will go home with anything.
Well, you have a song about that, you know, nobody's ugly at, like, 2 o'clock.
It's true!
But this,
for men,
but
not for women.
And
women will go home alone at 2, but men will go home with anything on 2 legs. Transvestites, hermaphrodites, they don't care.
Well...
You know that's true, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I believe it. That's
so
true.
Ugly women have an easier time than ugly men.
Yeah, because there's a certain thing that a woman has that a man... For instance, I think a man needs a woman worse than a woman needs a man sexually. Oh, well, I think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think a woman can hold out longer. I mean, you know, don't you?
Generally, I think that's true.
I think
that has to do with the fact that women are looking for something different. Women are looking for an attachment.
Well, with men, there's like an urgency. I've got to have it.
Women are looking for meaning in these...
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
...events. See, like you have a one-night stand with a woman and she says, well, what does this mean? Well, what's going to happen next? Well, are you going to call me? Well, like when you talk to your friends about me, like, what are you going to say about me? Are you going to say that I'm your friend?
Well, I also think it has a lot to do with societal conditioning. It's like a man is allowed to be the aggressor, okay? So therefore, men can readily admit to their sexual needs, and then they're free to go after it. A woman's sexual need is there, but there's a certain thing that's in the conscience of a woman. At least I believe that while it's there, somehow you have to wait until. There's certain things you can do to attract attention, but at the same time you have to you can wait. But then there's always because of the male urgency, there's always going to be another man. Okay, and not only that, because of the societal conditioning, at least if the man does not have the accoutrements of some measure of success, a woman can feel degraded, so therefore she can hold out longer.
Monique, thank you for the call. We'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis, and this is KFI AM 640.
You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis. Highlights of some of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
Erlene, first-time caller from San Bernardino. You're on KFI. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
You're cold this morning.
Oh, I know it.
You are really cold.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to give my description before I get started.
Okay.
Of one ugly person.
One in particular?
No, just anybody.
The
that
average.
Looks like this.
This is the prototypical ugly person. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, no chin.
No chin.
Uh-huh. With a long nose.
A long nose. That's
all
ugly?
All this together on one face.
Oh, on one face. Okay.
Yeah. Thin neck.
High
forehead. Small beady eyes close together.
Ooh, you don't like that, huh?
and very thin hair.
Oh, thinning or thin hair?
Thinning hair.
Thinning hair.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That's bad.
My goodness.
Now I want to tell you, I think that men have more of a chance if he's ugly than a woman. But I think if a man has power and money, even if he's ugly, he's kind of sexy.
If he has power and money?
Yes.
Like those guys in Washington who have the 19-year-old secretaries you're talking about?
Right, sure.
Most of those guys
take a ticket to Paris.
Most of those guys in Washington are ugly. Have you noticed that?
Aren't they?
You know, the only ones who ever run for president are the ones who are relatively good looking, and those guys...
Right. But the rest of them...
Oh.
See, like Jackie Kennedy's friend. I mean, he's not what you would call a handsome man.
You mean the late...
power and money.
The late Aristotle Onassis you're talking about.
The other one after that. Well, he wasn't great either, but...
Who was that? Who did she go out with after him?
The jeweler. I forget his name.
Oh, boy, I don't follow People magazine like you do.
Well, I think if a woman is ugly, she had better be rich or witty. Rich or witty.
Early, you can be as cold as the worst of them, and you know it.
Or go around with, have a friend that's very beautiful. And then you see she'll get she's lucky, she's smart, a ugly woman who goes out with
oh, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Now, I'm not imagining that happens, am I?
No, it happens. You see it all the time.
Uh-huh.
But you see, the beautiful girl, there's no competition when she's out with an ugly girl.
Yeah.
And an ugly girl is just happy to be with a pretty girl because she's going to get the fallout.
She can sweep up the leftovers into her little love dustpan there.
So you see it all the time. No, it's not your imagination at all.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Erlene, you've been a great caller. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. We'll continue talking about who's ugly and why. Coming up, we'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis, and this is KFI AM 640.
The 1990 Associated Press Award for the best radio newscast in California goes to KFI Los Angeles. More stimulating talk radio.
This is the weekend you wait all winter for. Good afternoon. I'm Liz Fulton with the KFI Noon News.
KFI AM 640, our final Saturday broadcast, our final hour. These are the shows you said you wanted to hear one more time. We've gone through the tapes and we found what we think are the shows that you most wanted to hear. Joe Crummy coming up today at 1, John Mellicar at 4, and Dr. Laura Schlesinger tonight at 8. That's our lineup here on KFI AM 640. Don't forget, beginning next Saturday, a new Saturday lineup here on KFI. You wanted more of Bill Handel, a handle on the law? You get him. He'll be here from 7 until 10 now, Saturday mornings. And Joe Crummy, now an extra hour, and you'll hear him earlier. You'll hear Joe Crummy from 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon on Saturday. So that's the new lineup now. Bill Handel from 7 till 10 Saturday mornings, and Joe Crummy from 10 till 2. And don't forget, we are still here live Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 in the afternoon as you head home. So join us Monday at 2, and stay tuned for one more hour of our favorite Saturday shows of all time, right here on KFI AM 640. If you're just joining us on this Saturday, thank you for tuning in today. We're talking about ugly people. How do we determine who's ugly and the way that ugly people act and react? Because we're going to get down and dirty today. And again, stay away from the metaphysical today, all right? Because we don't look at people metaphysically for the most part. We look at what they have, okay? You look at their face, you look at their body, you look at them, and you say that person's beautiful, that person's average, that person's ugly. That's what you do. So we're trying to figure out what makes an ugly person and how ugly people act and what ugly people should be entitled to and all of that. Let's continue our conversation with Deborah, a first-time caller from Lakewood on KFI. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, how are you doing, Tom?
I'm good.
Hi, I wanted to make a comment about culture. It has to do with your ethnicity, what you consider beautiful in lots of times.
Really?
Well, yes, because, take for instance, this society, I think what is the most beautiful is blonde hair, blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been out with girlfriends. I'm black, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And I can look clearly better, in my opinion. I mean, more shapely, face, nose in the right place. And they can be what you might consider ugly or somewhat deformed and have some blonde hair, and they're going to get more attention. And I feel that I'm not even considered. I think it has to do with what culture you're in, and maybe it's more...
You really think so?
Huh?
Now, see, I've always preferred people with olive or darker skin and who are brunettes.
Well, maybe it's different depending on, there are some exceptions, but take, for instance, Nazi Germany. I mean, what was considered in was the blonde hair, blue eyes.
Well, that was in. Of course, look at Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, I mean...
Not quite blonde and blue-eyed.
Well, he was probably going to dye his hair. I mean, that was supposed to be the...
If Adolf Hitler lived in West Hollywood today, he'd probably have purple hair. You know what I'm saying?
you think so? But, so you don't agree with that?
Well, I think it does depend, but again, I don't know too many black folks who'd prefer somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Oh, I know plenty. I mean, that's what they've grown up seeing on TV, and that's what they would love to get their hands on.
Now, speaking of ethnicity, and I don't think I'm making a mistake about this, and I think I can prove it, Latin men love women with blonde hair, and that is borne out by the fact that if you turn on any of the Spanish-language TV stations, all the women, whether it be in the news or on soap operas or whatever, they all have blonde hair. All of them.
Whether they bleach it or whatever.
Well, they have to. I mean, how many people with olive skin are born with blonde hair? Not many.
I think it looks funny and unnatural. I think people should accept the idea of a pluralistic society where people can be beautiful just because they're in shape, because they're not deformed, everything's in the right place, and they're taking good care of themselves, and that should be the standard for beauty to me.
So you're looking for that Aryan kind of guy, huh?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not looking for an Aryan kind of guy.
I thought you liked those blonde-haired, blue-eyed kind of people.
No, I'm different than that. I accept people as beautiful because they take good care of themselves, and it doesn't matter. Eye color, hair color, skin color, hair texture, it doesn't matter. And it shouldn't, I don't feel.
Deborah, thanks for a good call.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Here's Sally in Arcadia on KFI. Good morning.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I love your show.
Thank you.
Let me tell you something. I'm not conceited or anything, but I am a beautiful girl. I mean, I stop traffic. And there was an ugly guy that had asked me to go out for at least 2 years. On and on and on. And finally, one lonely night, I agreed to go out with him. And this guy...
Mate, you were all lonely or he was?
I was lonely.
Oh, boy.
And this guy was so ugly. I mean, he washed his hair every day, and he still had dandruff.
He was probably lonely every night.
Well, let me finish. He had a receding hairline. He had removable teeth. He had spaces in between his teeth, and I guess he plugged them in with some false teeth. I found this out a little bit later. His face looked like a roadway. He was short, pencil arms, toothpick legs. His eyes bugged out like an insect. I mean, this guy was ugly.
Oh, boy.
But on our first date, he kissed me, and I have never been kissed like that before in my life. And I fell in love with him.
Are you serious?
I am. I'm serious as a heart attack. I fell in love with this guy, and let me tell you, he was the best, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
He made up for it, huh?
He made up for it, and I overlooked all of the things that I just mentioned.
So you just kept the lights out a lot?
No, he liked the lights on.
Oh, he liked the lights on. See, he made you look at him.
That's true.
Oh, boy.
I didn't care. I really didn't. And now I just look at every ugly person I can see.
You do?
No, I'm just kidding.
Hoping to find another one, huh?
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, these guys must have a lot of bottled-up passion in there, you know what I'm saying?
These ugly people, they try harder.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Now, why did you fall out of love with Poindexter here, huh?
Well, he happened to be separated, and he went back with his wife.
Oh! What did she look like?
Ugly.
Ugly like him.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes, so...
What a great story.
You like that one, huh?
I love it. So, Sally, you're still single, I take it?
I'm still single, yes, and looking for a very ugly man.
Well, good luck, Sally.
Thank you.
You don't want him to try too hard in this town, you know what I'm saying? Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye. Here comes Dan in Huntington Beach on KFI. Hello.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Hey, listen, I don't think that ugly is subjective in any way. I think you're right.
It's quantifiable?
Yeah, it's more like a science in a way.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I can prove this, Tim.
Okay.
Okay, for instance, Barbara DeAngelis, she's beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rush Limbaugh, he's ugly, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you.
He's ugly. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Now, I went to your show at the Wiltern, though, and I do have a problem.
Yeah.
I can't decide who's uglier, you or Rush Limbaugh.
Maybe we could have a contest. Well, I keep telling people, Dan, I mean, see, people think they're going to nail me with this kind of thing. You know, there's a reason.
You know you're ugly.
There's a reason we're on the radio, Dan. See, radio pays nothing, all right? It's television where the big bucks are. Now, if we were good looking, we'd be on TV.
Well, I know you're qualified to talk about this.
Well, that's of course true. And the fact is, if we were good looking, you think we'd waste our time being on the radio? No, of course not. We'd be on television making the big bucks, you know? But you see, when you're ugly, you do what you can, and here on radio, nobody knows.
Well, you got me there.
There you go, Dan.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Thank you for the call. See, they think they're going to get you. They call up, and they think they're going to get you. And all you have to do is tell them they're right, and then where do they go from there, you know? Chris is a first-time caller from Calabasas on KFI. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm okay.
Great. You know, this is something that's kind of fascinated me for a long time because I think it's one of the hidden prejudices in our society. It's so widespread that it's even winked at by a lot of the most prominent civil libertarians, I think. It's just something that's not discussed. But I saw an article in the newspaper a few years ago. They did studies that showed that ugly people are more aggressive and even more prone to violence.
Wait a minute. Now, in these studies, how did they define ugly?
That's a good question. I guess it was some kind of a general consensus between the people that put this study together.
I see.
But
of course, people who do studies are generally incredibly ugly.
Yeah, well, then they should know, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they would.
They found this. I mean, I don't know how extensive of a study, but it was fascinating enough to where I cut the article out. But the point they were trying to make was that aggressive people are that way precisely because of the way, or I should say ugly people are that way precisely because of the way they're treated by people in society. Even at a very young age, people look at the beautiful babies. Teachers give extra attention to the good-looking students. They get mates, they get dates, all these things, and so it fosters more of a...
So are you saying that the reason people like Ozzy Osbourne and Sam Kinison act the way they do is because they're ugly?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you look at the bitterness that Sam Kinison has, and if he was a good-looking guy, he might not have... Well, he might not be so aggressive, and therefore... You know, it's a problem that kind of fosters itself. I really think that.
I mean, he's butt ugly.
Yeah, there's no question. But even, I think like you brought out earlier, if he's successful, he will get women.
That's his only hope.
I agree. But, you know, on the other hand, like some of your previous callers were bringing out, I do think that some people will rise above it. They'll resort to being either clever or witty or maybe more sensitive since they... like minorities, are often more sensitive to criticism and to abuse for unlawful reasons or unfair reasons. And a lot of times, you know, I mean, growing up, I consider myself to be just an average-looking person, and the girls that I thought were very attractive and that my friends thought were attractive would only go out with the really good-looking guys. But the older they got and the more disillusioned they were with a lot of these guys, because even though they were satisfied physically, they didn't have it emotionally, and the rest of us just kind of waiting in the background. Sure enough, several of my friends ended up getting some of these very attractive girls who eventually decided when they wanted to settle down, they wanted a sensitive man. So I think in the long run, it can pay off if you can turn that downfall into a positive.
Good point, Chris. Thank you for the call.
Thanks, Tom.
We'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis, and this is KFI AM 640. I'm Tom Leykis. You know, there are many important things you can do to save the earth, and one of the easiest is to recycle your beverage containers. For those who don't recycle, consider this. Recycling such things as plastic, glass, and aluminum beverage containers saves natural resources and energy and extends the life of landfills. Recycle in your home and office, in your school and neighborhood, everywhere and every chance you get. Recycle today and help save tomorrow. For more information about beverage container recycling, call 1-800-332-SAVE. That's 1-800-332-SAVE. A public service message of the Division of Recycling, California Department of Conservation, and KFI AM 640.
Listening to the best of Tom Leykis. Highlights of some of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
Good morning.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Tom, you know, people don't have to be ugly. I'm a makeup artist, and I do like before and after photo studios.
Yeah.
Type of work, and I've worked through the years with different makeup companies, and you know, a lot of women, like, I'll make them up, and they'll be kind of on the plain or even doggy side. And I'll make them up, and they will look fantastic. They'll look glamorous. They'll really look appealing. And a lot of them will look in the mirror, and then they'll after everything is all done, they wipe it off like they can't stand the look. And they'll say, I can't get used to that, or my husband won't like it. And they just sort of, they're not comfortable with looking beautiful.
Well, I don't know if it's not comfortable with looking beautiful or with having to go to all that time and effort to look beautiful. I mean...
But then they're lazy. I mean...
I don't even know if it's lazy, though, because there are some people who wake up in the morning and they look great.
I like myself.
There you go. Well, we all feel we do, don't we? I mean, nobody's called this show today and said, hi, I'm butt ugly. All they do is they call up and say, Tom, I can't decide if you're more ugly or Rush is more ugly. You know that guy is a dog, okay? You know that guy is absolutely hideous. The only people who are going to call up who are ugly are going to start complaining about something today.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody calling in thinks they're good looking.
The looks change, too, because, through the years, like, there was a time when heavier women were more popular with artists. And, looks changed. Twiggy was a look at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I had real curly hair in the 60s. Straight hair was in. I mean, everything changes, and what might have been ugly 10 years ago is incredibly beautiful now.
You're right.
And I have one thing to say about men. I met a man on the phone, and we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I like pretty women. I said, well, I'm very attractive. And I said, what makes you rate a pretty woman? And he said, instead of saying, well, I'm 6 foot tall or whatever, he said, well, I'm a businessman and I have things and I make good money. I think that men think that their beauty comes from their wallet. And maybe some women go for that, but if the magic isn't there, if a man doesn't have that initial visual chemistry, to me, I don't care what he has.
Of course, most of these men are looking for one night or one evening or 1 hour.
Then what good does their money do me?
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, bye, Tom.
Take care. Bye-bye. Here comes Valerie in Long Beach on KFI. Good morning.
Hi, Tom. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Well, I have 2 comments to make. I've had an experience with young men who were not so attractive, and then I've had experience with extremely attractive young men.
Uh-huh.
And the ones that are not attractive are the vainest ones.
Well, I'll tell you something about that from what I've seen, okay? I don't think they are the vainest ones. I think they act like the vainest ones. They are hoping that if they have enough bravado and if they are aggressive enough, that they will convince you that they're not ugly. They don't realize that, just look at them.
Tom.
Just one look.
But, Tom, this is after you get to know them.
I understand what you're saying.
I go out, and they get upset because they don't get the attention.
It's like, no, I'm not going to mention any morning radio talk show host by name, but some of them say they're excellent and wonderful all the time. It's not necessarily because they believe it. It's because they just keep saying it because they want to believe it, but they don't really.
Yeah. One night I went out with this young man, and we were going to this comedy store, and they shined the spotlight on us, and they said, wow, here comes this extremely attractive young lady. And in the back of his mouth, he said, why aren't they saying anything about me? I couldn't believe it.
Did you tell him?
Well, they told him.
They told him.
Eventually, they told him, but all through the night, he could not understand why they didn't say anything about him.
What did they say about him, Valerie?
Oh, they said, you can go on, she's going to ride home with us, and, what is she doing with you?
Ooh, uh-huh.
But, and then I have
And he thought they were just kidding.
Well...
They have to rationalize,
True, they were probably kidding, but he was serious.
They're just comedians.
But my friend was serious.
I know he was.
And then another occasion, I went over to a girlfriend's house, and, I was somewhat depressed, and I was just going to have some fun, and I had my hair thrown back, no makeup on, and just some ratty clothes, and we sat down and we were talking, and she had company, 2 guys. And eventually, these guys weren't paying me no attention. They were just, whatever. So we all decided we were going to go out this night.
Uh-huh.
So I went home, and I got myself all jazzed up, Went back over there. I tell you, these guys were a different personality.
Ooh.
All night, I was treated like a queen. And the next day, this one person wanted to see me again, and, we went out in a little Riviera. The next day, he was at my girlfriend's house with his Mercedes. So he was really trying to impress me after treating me terrible. But that's all I have to say.
Unbelievable. Well, I had a friend once who was treated like a queen.
Uh-huh.
Thing is, he was a queen. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We will continue. More of your calls coming up as we talk about ugly people, folks. The ugly people and just what they're really like. We did a show about a year and a half ago where we asked people where the ugly people meet and get together. And I got to tell you something. That was a fun show. We'll have to do that one again sometime. We'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis on KFI AM 640. Time now to go to the KFI News Center and Liz Fulton. Good afternoon, Liz.
You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis. Highlights of some of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
We are talking about who is ugly, how we determine ugly, and how ugly people act and what they're entitled to, and other related issues today on this Saturday. Joe Crummy coming up today at 1 o'clock. Let's continue. Here's Brian, a first-time caller from Montclair on KFI. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Hey, I'm ugly, and let me tell you something. These beautiful people are lying. Ken always marries Barbie. She never married Gumby. It's a complete farce. ABC's got a show on Beauty and the Beast. I'm supposed to believe this beautiful girl's going to fall in love for a dog in the sewer? Who are they kidding? I can go out with my guy friends, and I can sit there and be the wittiest guy in the world, and the paper doll sitting next to me who didn't say a word all night gets the phone number.
There you go.
You know, I mean, I had, and it changes, too. I had a friend in high school, couldn't get a date the whole first half of the year. He looked like John Travolta. Welcome Back, Kotter comes on the air. The guy got voted most popular in school because he looked like someone who was famous, who was once ugly.
There you go.
You know, and the biggest beef is I'm overweight, I'm fat. And in this society, all of a sudden, fat has become ugly.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I don't care how great looking you are. Rob Lowe put on 50 pounds, no one will care.
Yeah, you're right about that. The thing is, though, that as I say, because I've lost 73 pounds, if you're fat, you can correct it.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
If you're
lost
ugly,
171 pounds.
See,
and all of a sudden, I'm getting conversations from people who didn't care. The other thing I found out is if you've got a girlfriend who's a model, lead the other women to believe she's your date. And all of a sudden, you're attractive again.
Because they think, you know why, Brian? Because they think you've got money or something.
Exactly. Borrow a friend's Porsche for the weekend and see how ugly you are.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and guys, and, you know, I think women, in a way, are worse than guys. Because, like you said, at least we'll go for charity at 2 a.m., you know, once the beer goggles are on.
No, you're not kidding.
But for the most part, beautiful people lie, they deceive, and they'll always tell you, hey, looks don't count, it's personality, and they're always dating some paper doll gorgeous guy.
Thank you, Brian.
Have a good day, Tom.
Take care. Bye-bye. A very honest guy there. Fred is a first-time caller from Trabuco Canyon on KFI. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Hey, let me tell you, beautiful people don't have to lie. And that's why they're beautiful.
Yes.
The lady that called in that talked about how the man that... she asked him, you know, what his attributes were, and he talked about how he was an accomplished businessman and he had money, and she didn't like it. I tell you what, ugly men that have no money don't get dates either. So she talks about how he bragged about his money, but at the same time, if he had no money at all, she wouldn't be talking to him either. But she just didn't like that he brought it up. Also, they talk about women that can hold out longer at a bar. They don't have to go home with somebody, but men do.
Yeah.
Women say they can hold out longer, but in the end, they need to get married and have somebody support them anyway, because women don't like to work for the rest of their lives.
Ooh, Fred.
And you know what the definition between ugly and beauty is?
What's the difference?
The difference is beauty is skin deep, and ugly goes to the bone.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Joe's a first-time caller from Torrance on KFI. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Tom.
Hi.
I am ugly.
You are ugly.
Now, we're not talking about plain. We're not talking homely. We're talking about major league, but ugly.
But ugly.
But ugly.
That's as ugly as it gets.
As a matter of fact, you know, I might have typified or personified the nerd in high school.
Oh?
I had a terrible time. Unbelievable time. Never had but one date in all of high school.
Really?
Terrible.
Are you married?
No, I'm divorced now.
Now
I am still ugly.
Oh, boy.
But you know something?
What?
I don't have any trouble at all.
You mean getting dates?
You got it. With good-looking women.
Well, that probably has to do with the fact... How old are you, Joe?
I am not old, but I'm 56.
56. Okay, well, see, that explains it, see, because there are a lot of women in your age bracket.
My age bracket? I don't go out with women in my age bracket.
You go out with women, what, 30 years younger?
At least.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
Oh, tell me about this, Joe.
This is unbelievable. But once I figured out that I was as I am and I couldn't change it, and I accepted it, I didn't have any more problems.
You must have money or something, Joe.
Not that much.
So you go out with women, say, 25 years old?
25 to 35 is my range.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
What do they want with an older, ugly guy?
I've got a present.
I'd love to talk to some of these women, Joe.
Yeah, I'll never tell you.
I really would love to. I don't want to steal them from you. I just want to talk to them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm telling you what, I've gone out with some of the best-looking women you ever saw.
Really?
You better believe it.
Oh, boy.
And it amazed me. I never even used to ask women like that. But all of a sudden, I decided, what the hell? What can I lose? I ain't doing any good anyhow.
Joe, thanks for the call.
By the way,
yes.
One final parting shot.
Yes, sir.
I may not ever get to be good-looking.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get to be smart.
Thank you for that, Joe. I appreciate it, and we will...
I thought you'd love it.
We certainly do, and we will continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis, and this is KFI AM 640.
You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis. Highlights of some of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
Let's continue here with Werner, a first-time caller from Cucamonga on KFI. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Werner.
I have to agree with your last caller regarding, put me in a Porsche, and hey, I'm in my way.
That's all you need is a Porsche, huh?
I tell you, a Porsche or,
Well, it's not just a Porsche. I think if you're ugly, you've got to have a cell phone with a little cell phone antenna on the back of it.
Yeah, those type of guys, especially what they do is just put one of those fake antennas in the back, and you got it.
Yeah, see, if you've got a cell phone, then your woman can call the good-looking guys while she's driving around with you.
Yeah, and next thing you know, you're waiting on the mall for them.
There you go.
Well, Tom, I just want to say that, we do like your show. My girlfriend, she goes and picks me up at work, and every time I drive on the freeway, that's all we listen to. You, and you.
Hi, Tom. I love you, Tom.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, but, we have to agree with you all the time. Ugly guys, I think they have to start with executive jobs. They sit on the desk, they pull out the American Express, and you got it. You got a date.
Boy. Unbelievable.
That's all it takes, Tom. And let me ask you, Tom, do you have an American Express?
I have a platinum card, Werner. It doesn't matter if I'm ugly. Let me tell you.
All right, Tom, and thanks, and keep it up. And again, we'll do like your show.
Thank you, Werner.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Steve in North Hollywood, you're on KFI. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Tom.
Hi.
You were talking about people in radio being ugly and stuff. I grew up listening to Top 40 radio, and remember how they used to put out those surveys you got on the record store and you could see what the disc jockeys look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was always intrigued by voices anyway, and a couple of the disc jockeys I grew up listening to went on to television. Yeah, they were good-looking guys, but I had a friend who kept in touch with one of the jocks who was a good-looking guy, and he just liked doing radio. He loved radio. He never wanted to try television.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He just wanted to stay in radio.
And he was good-looking?
Good-looking. Good-looking guy.
Did you ever meet him in person? Or?
No, but my friend has kept in touch with him down through the years and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he just loved radio. And he was petrified of the camera and television. He said that he could never make the transition of going into TV, and he just loved doing radio.
That's interesting. See, most of us in radio would love to do television, but we're too ugly.
You really believe that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. Come on, TV pays 5 times what radio pays,
Yeah.
I don't own my own movie production house like Oprah Winfrey does because I work in radio.
Well, look at...
If I were on TV, I'd be making the big bucks.
Well, look at Dick Clark, for instance. Okay, he started on American Bandstand, and as you know, Dick Clark is in radio. He does a syndicated show.
Well, Dick Clark started in radio, but he was a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
So he went to television.
He went to television, but he's still doing radio along with everything else.
But then you take, say, Ira Fistel. Now, there's a guy who will never be on television.
Oh, I agree with you there.
Never. I mean, the guy is just Ira Fistel. You ever see this guy?
Yeah, I saw a picture of him once.
Holy cow. I don't know. That's my point. See, we would all be on television if we could, but some of us are ugly.
Can I bring up another point?
Yes.
You mentioned about Mexican guys liking blonde women.
Well, Latin men, whether they be Mexican or Cuban or whatever, they like blonde women, yeah.
One thing I have noticed when I see, I've seen a lot of black guys with ugly, blonde, white women. I mean, whew.
Well, boy, that would be a real hot topic to talk about someday, and maybe we'll do that on a Saturday morning, but we're going to have to approach that with every bit of sensitivity, because it's so easy for people to say it's a racist kind of a topic to talk out.
Well, I bet you if there's any, I'm sure there's black women listening, but I bet you some black women that are listening out there would agree with me from what they have seen. I mean, these white, ugly, blonde women with the roots showing through their hair, the black roots, I mean, whew, you talk about ugly.
Boy, wow. There's a topic for a Saturday, boy, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. Here's John, a first-time caller from Calabasas on KFI. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good. I listened to your program this morning. I thought it was kind of funny.
Well, thank you.
But one of the things you're talking about ugly is when I was younger, I used to be very ugly. And then I did some cosmetic work in my face, and it took care of it. Now I have no problem with women.
Really?
Yes.
So now you're not ugly anymore?
No, not ugly. It took a little bucks, but it took care of it.
Ooh.
I used to have eyebrows like Marshall across the forehead. And removed.
You mean you had like one big, long eyebrow like Leonid Brezhnev used to have or something like that?
Yes, correct.
Uh-huh.
And then I had that removed, and then I had my eyes redone. And, wallow, now I'm 44 years old, and I get hit on it all the time.
Boy, oh boy, no problem anymore, huh?
No, but you see, if you're ugly, you can do something about it. Lose weight, take care of your body, take care of your mind, and it goes with it.
Good luck, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye now. We'll continue. You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis, and this is KFI AM 640.
You're listening to the best of Tom Leykis. Highlights of some of Tom's recent Saturday programs on KFI AM 640. When you hear phone numbers, please do not call in. Here again, Tom Leykis.
Here's Stan in Cyprus on KFI. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Stan. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a comment for you, basically. You get two people, one man and a woman, and they, they're not too great looking, so they have the cosmetic thing done to them, and they end up finding each other and falling in love, and there's these two beautiful people, and then they have the baby, and then they see this kid come out with a nose like a macaw. And you know what? I know you're an atheist, but that's when you know there is a God.
Oh, boy. Now, are you suggesting maybe that ugly people should not be allowed to reproduce?
Oh, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I'm here.
Oh, you're one of them.
Oh, yeah, possibly. It all depends. There's varying degrees.
Now, Stan, have you reproduced yet?
I certainly have, and I have two nice-looking kids.
Nice-looking
kids? My wife's not ugly, though.
Oh, your wife isn't ugly?
No.
So, genetically,
she's listening to the show, too, probably.
Oh, I see. So you wouldn't tell us the truth anyway. So, genetically, you lucked out, right, Stan?
Yeah, it all comes out in the genes.
Thank you for that, Stan.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Here's Eileen in Santa Clarita on KFI. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I haven't heard your whole show. Are there any women calling and saying they're ugly?
I have not heard from one woman saying she's ugly.
Yes,
Several men. Oh, you're the first ugly woman to call in today.
Yeah, I am.
I see.
Yeah, what do you want to know about ugly women?
Well, I didn't know there were any from listening to the calls today. They're all men.
Sure there are.
Really?
But could you tell me why successful ugly men can get beautiful women, but successful ugly women don't get beautiful men?
I don't think, well, first of all, the reason ugly men get women is because of their wallets. Power or money or both, you
position.
See, men don't look for women for money and position.
I know that. I know exactly what they look for, and I happen to have exercised that talent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure. I have to have some offsets, don't I?
I guess you do.
Sure.
Now, do you have money and power?
No.
Oh, I see.
But talent?
Oh, you have talent?
Sure.
What kind of talent?
Some of it we cannot talk about.
Ooh. So in other words, if we turned off the lights, you'd just be one hot person.
No, I don't even have to turn off the lights.
Oh, really?
Nah.
Ooh.
Nah. Because you're not worried about ugly or pretty then.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Well, maybe some men aren't, I guess.
Well, I suppose. And I've had 2 very, very handsome husbands.
Oh, you have?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do it?
I don't know. I'm confused about it myself, but it does happen.
Eileen, thanks very much for the call. Well, we hope you enjoyed our best of presentation. Coming up next, Joe Crummy after the news at 1 o'clock, followed by John Mellicar at 4, and Dr. Laura Schlesinger tonight at 8 o'clock. Don't forget our new weekend schedule beginning next Saturday. Bill Handel and Handel on the Law now an extra hour. Bill will be here from 7 until 10 in the morning. And then Joe Crummy moves up. You'll hear him earlier now in our time slot primarily from 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. It begins next Saturday, June the 2nd. Stay tuned. I'll be back Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Our show, of course, now Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 every afternoon as you head home. I'm Tom Leykis. It's 1 o'clock in Los Angeles, and this is KFI AM 640.
Building a legacy of talk radio for the future. KFI Los Angeles, more stimulating talk radio.
When you thought it was safe to go into the water. Good afternoon, I'm Liz Fulton with the KFI 1 o'clock news. Who's going into the water and what's coming out of it? We'll talk about that, but first let's take a look at the freeways now.